Let's talk to Javier in South Carolina. Javier was our first caller and has been waiting on the line the longest. And Javier wants to talk about altruism and the moral implications of altruism. And that just sounds like fun. So Javier, you're live with Eric and V.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Hey!
We're doing okay.
Definitely. Yeah. How about yourself? What's going on?
Well, I'm doing pretty fine. I'm kind of upset because the gym at my apartment complex has been closed down for an indeterminate period of time, but things are going well.
I'm glad that you're doing okay. I hope you can find a solution to that. You wanted to talk about altruism today. What's the deal with altruism?
Yeah, so first things first, I do think altruism is a virtue. This isn't me trying to say, altruism bad, be selfish, or anything like that. But, and if you don't mind, I'd like to use an example to demonstrate my question.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are you familiar with the TV show Futurama?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for in case there's anyone in the audience that isn't, the premise is that someone from the year 1999 gets frozen in a cryogenic capsule and wakes up in the year 3000. And there was one episode I remember where, because there's a lot of callers in the queue, I won't just give a synopsis of the episode plot. But long story short, the main character, Fry, believed that he got trapped in the cryogenic capsule by accident.
Mm-hmm.
But in this episode, it's revealed that someone from the future purposefully trapped him in the cryogenic pod because he would be needed to avert a catastrophe in the future that would cause the end of the universe. And there was one point in that episode where Fry discovers this, and the person that traps him says, yeah, sure, the life you would have lived is gone, but wasn't it worth it to save the entire universe? And then Fry says, but it was my life. And that exchange has stayed with me for a long time in terms of, broadly I use the term altruism, but it's like, helping others, sacrifice, et cetera, because I don't think any of us would disagree that giving, like sacrificing, helping others is a good thing, but also assuming that this is the only life we have, and I don't know for certain whether or not it's the only life we have, but it is a life that I know I have.
Well,
I don't know.
Here's my thought. I don't think that it really, I don't think it really includes altruism. I think that really the piece there is personal autonomy. And if you rob someone of their ability to make a choice, then whatever you forced them into wasn't their choice, right? Altruism, I think, is something that people choose to do. And if you're forced to do a good thing, I don't think that makes you a good person. I think that makes you, a tool of whoever used you. And so the like in your example, right? I don't think Fry should be looked at as somebody who made a grand sacrifice, even if he was forced to, because he didn't choose to. So you have the good and the bad of it, but really it's personal autonomy that I think that comes down to.
I see. And I also am a big believer in personal autonomy and individual freedom. But my thing is that exchange is, I'm not trying to say that it's like a one-to-one, but that's like what makes me think about this topic, where I said before, I think it's good to sacrifice, but at the same time, I don't know I cannot disregard the fact that at the end of the day, we as individuals, we're living this life, which is the only one we know we have, depending on what you believe. And because of that, I don't know what the limits are in terms of sacrificing for others and choosing to do things for yourself, and what the moral implications are of that.
Well, so I don't think that altruism exists in a bottle, right? I don't think it's in a vacuum. If I do a good thing for someone else without, expecting something in return, what I'm getting in return is the feeling that I'm a good person. And there are lots of people who would die for that. And so if somebody, sacrifices what could be a long and happy life to do a good act, I wouldn't, like, if that's what that person wanted to do and they made that sacrifice, then I think, I don't know. I don't think I have a leg to stand on when it comes to judging whether or not it was right or wrong. Just that was the choice that they made. You know, I wouldn't say one was better or worse.
I think it comes down to what can you live with, right? So if you were in a position where you could save the future and decided not to in order to live a long and happy life, could you really live a long and happy life after that moment, right? It would, the choice then became, I am actively sacrificing the entire future and everyone who will come after me for my own benefit. And I think that would rob you of a lot of the joy you would have otherwise found in life, which is why these kinds of questions are so interesting and insidious. Because the second that becomes an option, the second that saving somebody else at the cost to yourself becomes an option, it's no longer oh, well, I'm just going to decide not to do it. You know, it then becomes a conversation in yourself of what kind of person am I? Can I justify this with my own moral structure, whatever that may be? So it does become a larger conversation at that point. And it's not as simple as, no, just live a long and happy life anymore, because now you know what that cost is. And I think that that's where a lot of conversations around social progress and political changes of mind happen, is when you start realizing what the cost of your long, happy life is and have to reconcile with that. And some people decide, yeah, I'm actually fine with that. Some people say, I'm not fine with it, but I can ignore it. And other people say, actually, that's unacceptable. And even if my life is less long or less happy as a result, the alternative living with that knowledge and doing nothing would be the painful one. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
No, it's just we're waxing philosophical before we dive into other topics, and I think it's nice. It feels like a palate cleanse before the meal. So,
Javier, what are your thoughts with that?
I think, well, I agree with much of what you said. You know, on an individual level, if you got to decide what you're able to tolerate when you decide to either sacrifice or do things for yourself, you know, you can sleep at night. I kind of, you know, yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in myself, because at the moment I don't really know what else to say at the point, because
well,
I think it is a very nuanced thing.
It is, and also that's the limit of the ought. I mean, if we're discussing not whether or not something is or isn't, or how you come about thinking it, right? We're talking about the ought. Ought someone do a thing? And really it's contextually dependent. And so unless, like, the next place to go would be, if you really wanted to do more of this, is start listing out, you know, what ought you do in different situations. And if you want a really funny example of someone doing that, look up Jeremy Bentham. Jeremy Bentham actually wrote this massive list of the right thing to do given, you know, some bad situation. But you're doing just fine, man.
Jeremy Bentham, I will be sure to look that up later. It sounds interesting.
It really is.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling. It's been wonderful having these conversations, and we look forward to seeing you again when we find our footing.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Javier.
Thank you. It's been great talking to you guys on the show. This is like as I've watched these kinds of shows for a while, and Skeptic Generation is the one I felt most comfortable with. You know, just the hosts and the atmosphere.
Good.
And although I'm sad to see you go, I'm glad that you're doing what you think is best, and I'll continue wishing you all the best.
Thank you, Javier. Likewise.
Take care.
Bye.
Goodbye.